Hey, beautiful. This is your intuitive consultant and life coach, Avalaura, with another edition of Avalaura Heal My Life podcast. Listen in each week because I'm helping you to heal your life, heal your relationships, learn how to do meaningful work in the world, and make an impact that creates legacy. So go ahead and get your pen and paper, get your favorite drink, and listen in now. This episode of Avalaura Heal My Life is sponsored by Canada's #1 inspiration coach, Maureen Kaylee Verdonk, affectionately known as Coach Mo. She is the founder of Inspired Living Life Coaching, and Coach Mo is passionately helping women say yes to ourselves and experience more success and joy in our lives. Visit Coach Mo at www.mocaliverdonk.com. That's M-O Cali, C-A-L-E-Y, Verdonk, V-E-R-D-O-N-K, mocaliverdonk.com, and claim your free audio CD today. Greetings, beautiful ones. This is Avalaura, your intuitive consultant and life coach and CEO of Avalaura's Healing Center, here with another amazing edition of Avalaura Heals Radio. Tune in each week to learn how to heal from whole to wholeness in your life, your relationships, your business, and career. I'm really excited about this episode because I'm going to talk to you about something that's very near and dear to my heart and something that affects all of us, each and every one of us. See if you can guess what that is. In the meantime, go ahead and get your pen and paper out. You know you're going to want to take notes. You know you're going to want to take notes. Of course, you can listen back into this episode. They are here when you need them. It's like Netflix on demand. You just listen in when you feel like it, when you need a boost, right? When you need some healing, you need some motivation, you need some inspiration. You just need a break. You can always tune in, but I want you to get your pen and paper. I want you to take notes because this is going to be a very important episode. But before we get into the nitty gritty, I want you to imagine you are in a very toxic relationship. It started out being really wonderful, right? It was a really great relationship. You were being nurtured, you were being loved, you were being listened to, all those things that you say you wanted, you got. But then you found out this relationship was not all that it was cracked up to be, right? This person was falling a little bit short of your expectations. And when I say a little bit, I'm being very generous. Right? Maybe they were criticizing you, being a little too judgmental, not being as supportive as they started out being. And as you get more and more into the relationship, you start seeing more red flags, you start seeing more faults, and you start realizing that instead of being uplifted, instead of being lifted higher, instead of being healed, you're being hurt and you're being harmed. And you're not really sure what to do or how to get out of it because you love this person. Love, right? You're in love. So you don't know what to do. Enter in Avalaura. You're surfing the net and you're looking for relationship healing. You're trying to figure out what to do. Like, I like this person. I love this person. I want to nurture this relationship. This is about as good as it's going to get. Let me get some relationship healing. So you're surfing the net and you're looking online and you run into something called cord cutting. And then you see this website, Avalaura's Healing Center, and you pop up the website. You see this gorgeous woman, this gorgeous Black woman. fine. No. And you're looking at the website and you're like, oh, what is this cord cutting thing? And you start reading and you start scrolling and you're like, OMG, this is exactly what I need. That's what I want to talk to you about today, is something called a cord cutting. No, I'm not talking about an umbilical cord. For you mothers, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is an energetic healing technique that allows me to help you to cut the cords between you and another person. I want you to hear that again. This is a possibility. It's an energetic healing technique, and it is something that you want to be trained on. Please don't try to just read a book or go online and research how to do a cord cutting and do it yourself. Don't do it. It's not going to work. Sorry, it's just not. And sometimes you can do more harm than good. And I've actually worked with people who have done more harm. But it's an energetic technique that you should be trained on, that you can energetically cut those cords, that negative toxic energy in the relationship. Remove it so that you can open up the way for new healing energy. And that's important because a lot of times what happens is we try to just like that pile on technique. I don't like what's going on. This is a rotten foundation, but I'm going to try to pile goodness up on top of it, right? AKA affirmations and stuff like that. This isn't good, but I'm going to just say affirmations. I'm going to get rid of the bad. It doesn't work that way. You got to get rid of the bad first, and then you can enter in the new, the good, whatever it is that you want to replace it with. So first you got to release it, then you can replace. So that's what a cord cutting is in a nutshell. And the reason that is near and dear to my heart, I have done cord cuttings for people, oh God, in Canada, in Africa, in Australia, in India, in Costa Rica, of course, right here in the US, in Europe, literally everywhere in the world, because we are all in relationships. Unless you're a hermit and you just don't deal with people, you don't have a job that you have to deal with people, you don't have a family, you're not in a relationship, you don't have children, unless you're in any of those things, you are dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. And here's the truth. Here's the truth. Without healthy relationships, we're simply miserable. Without healthy relationships, we're miserable. We all need healthy relationships. All of us. There is, you could have all the money in the world. You could have the best career. You could have the best business. But if you're not in a loving, satisfying, intimate relationship where you can be vulnerable, where you can be valued, where you can be you, you're not going to be happy. I don't care what you say. It's going to be very temporary. That money is going to get old. That good feeling of accomplishment is going to get old. If you don't have someone special or someone specials to share that with, you're not going to be happy. So our relationships are central to our life and to our well-being. There are plenty of studies that have talked about the importance of love in our life. We hear about it all the time, that usually in a couple where they've been married a long time, when one person dies, when the wife dies, the man will die 6 months to a year after, right? Because we're so intertwined, we're so connected with each other. We need each other. We need that in our lives. And that's why so many of us will settle for toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, destructive, dysfunctional relationships to have somebody because we don't want to be alone. That may not be you, or it may be you. But if it's not you, you know someone that is that same way, or has stayed in a relationship way past its time, right? They should have ended that relationship 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. So this is central to our lives. So cord cuttings are very important because here's the thing that most of us don't get. And this is what I want you to really understand, and I want you to write this down. We each have an energetic connection to everything around us, whether you're aware of it or not. Okay. Some of us are more aware of it. Maybe we're empathic. Maybe we're just more tuned into energy. And if you don't think this is true, just think about any time you walked into a room and you're like, ooh, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't like the way this space feels. Right? You don't have a name for it. You don't know what it is. You just know that something doesn't feel right. Something's a little off. Conversely, think about a time when you walked into a space where you're like, oh, it feels great in here. Wow, I could just sit here. Oh, and I just want to breathe and just stay here and just live. It feels so good in here. So it works both ways. That's you tuning into the energy, whether unconsciously or subconsciously, because a lot of times you might not say it. You'll just feel it. You'll just pick up on it. Maybe you'll become more talkative. Maybe you'll become more energetic. Maybe you'll just become happier, right? You'll just feel freer. Or maybe you'll just feel down. Maybe all of a sudden you'll start yelling, or you'll pull inward, right? You'll just stop talking as much. So sometimes you're tuning into the energy around you, and I'm talking about a space, but this goes for people as well, right? So just think about when you're around different people and how we act differently around different people. Parts of your personality will come out dealing with one person, where another person, they'll never see that side of you. Maybe you don't feel safe to be that vulnerable, so you wear a mask, and so you become somebody else. It's a protection. So all of those things are tuning into energy. It's not, it's not a coincidence, or it's not something that you might even be aware of, but that is you tuning into what's going on around you. So that's the energy. We are all energetic beings. We say this all the time, that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And a part of being a spiritual being is tuning into energy. That's who we all are. We all carry a specific energy. We all carry a specific blueprint. And so your energy may not work with Karen's energy, may not work with Tanya's energy, may not work with Jacob, Brian's energy. Not that you're a bad person, not that they're a bad person, but coming together energetically, you don't work. So these things happen in relationships. They happen, of course, particularly in our family relationships, right? Because we don't get to choose our family. There are just some people in your family you just don't like, you don't want to be around, and you need boundaries, but you don't know how to practice boundaries. You need to come see me. That'll be another topic for another episode. But you don't have those boundaries, but you kind of stuck. Like this is your family. Sometimes it's your parents, right? It's your mother, it's your father, it's your siblings. You can't get away from these people. They're your family. So what do? That's where a cord cutting is essential, because a cord cutting will allow you to change the shape of that energy. And we're only dealing with the negative, toxic energy. We're not dealing with the good things. In all relationships, there's some good and there's some bad, right? We're not talking about the good. So this is not a discussion around that. We're only getting rid of the negative, the toxic, what is holding you down, what is harming you. That's what we're talking about. And what's so interesting about cord cuttings is when I first started this practice, oh God, probably a little over 11 years ago now. I've been doing cord cutting since the beginning, and I've kind of perfected it over time. I really thought that I would be doing a lot of cord cuttings for divorce situations, for breakups, for intimate relationships, romantic relationships. But what I quickly found out is that the majority of the people that were coming to me for cord cuttings from their mother, from their father, from their siblings, from their uncle that molested them, from their boyfriend years ago that raped them. All of these things. Like, this is what I started doing a lot of cord cuttings for. And what's really interesting, now I would say that most of my clients are women. I have a few good men, but my men clients are the bomb. They are a beast. One of my clients, I love him dearly. He had done therapy in the past. He didn't like it. He didn't think it worked for him. He had a lot of problems within his family, a big family. He definitely felt abused, picked on from everybody. I mean, mother, father on down. And so for him, he found healing in doing cord cuttings from each of his family members. And with each release from his family members, he became more and more of himself. He started getting raises in his job. He just found himself feeling a lot freer, feeling happier, opened himself up to a really loving relationship where he had been having problems with the women in his life. And so for him, that was his healing. And not only was it his healing, he was like, this is just too good. I got to share this with everybody. And literally, that's what he did. He referred everybody in his mama, everybody to me for cord cuttings, because that he had waited. Gosh, it was, he was in his 40s. He was well into his 40s by this time, and it had taken this long to heal. And he had tried. I want to say this. He had tried, but the things that he had done before hadn't worked until he had experienced a cord cutting. So that was his way of healing. And so I say all of that to say that a lot of times when people who, don't want life coaching, who don't want therapy, who don't want counseling, cord cutting is a really wonderful healing process, as well as being a great complement to that. Because absolutely a lot of my life coaching my life coaching clients will also get cord cuttings as well. And then, of course, I just have people who only want a cord cutting. They just like, I'm not trying to deal with that other stuff. And then they get a cord cutting and they're like, OMG, this is the truth. Okay, Avalaura, what else you got? I've had that too. So it's a really wonderful healing technique that a lot of people don't know about. And it's really great for all of our relationships. Now, I'm not trying to say like this is a miracle thing, because there is work afterwards. A lot of times I'll give you some type of homework or assignment or something to do to solidify the process. Okay? That is important. But it's a great release. And it's a great way to restore freedom in your life and just to feel so much lighter from the burdens of a lot of your relationships. There have been a lot of people who get on my massage table with a cord cutting and they just start boo-hoo crying. It's such a release for them. They can literally feel it in their body and their spirits. It's really a beautiful experience. And it's not just for people who come here. I want to say that if you're not in the DC area, like I said, I've worked with people around the world. I do distance cord cuttings. It is equally as effective. I've had people right here in the DC area who didn't come in. We've done a distance cord cutting. It's all energy. As long as I can tune in and tap into your energy, it works. It's phenomenal. And so if you've tried a lot of things for relationship healing and you have found that, gosh, there's just this person that I keep thinking about them. They're popping up in my dreams. I just feel like there's still this tug of war. I love my mama, but gosh, every time I'm around her, I just feel some kind of way. Whatever that might be, a cord cutting might be what's for you. That might be it. I work with a lot of people who have, particularly women who have daddy issues. They didn't know their father, or they had a very distant relationship with their father. Single mothers. Same thing with guys, right? They were raised by their mothers, didn't have their father in their life. That's a wound there, right? That is a hole. That is a missing. That is something that truly has to be healed. You don't get over that. You may get used to it. You may accept it, but you don't get over it. So there's a lot of things that cord cuttings are good for. Of course, like I said, divorce. Anytime you've ended a relationship physically, you want to get a cord cutting. And here's why. We tend to think, because again, we're not an energy society here. We're a very physical society. If I can't see it, I can't touch it, it's not real. But I'm here to tell you the realest of the realest things are the things that you can't see and you can't touch. The invisible, the spiritual, the energetic is much more real than what we see. So I want you to remember that. Just because you can't see it and you can't touch it doesn't mean it's not real. We are more affected by the invisible influences than we are really than what's around us, because that is what drives everything that we see. It always happens in the invisible first. So when you're in a relationship and that relationship is not over physically, it is not over energetically, it is not over spiritually. You are still tied to this person. So you're thinking, oh, I got that divorce. Oh, I finally ended it. And you think it's over. No, ma'am. No, sir. There's still energy that's going back and forth between you. That energy has to be cut and it has to be released. So cord cuttings are really great when you are ending a relationship and you want to make space for something new. You want to make room for something new. Because what happens is we have patterns. We have these familial patterns, these relationship patterns, these things that we do in our life, these bad habits, good habits, right? You tend to attract the same type of people over and over and over and over and over again unless you heal whatever is going on. So if you say, oh my gosh, I'm always attracting judgmental people. Oh my gosh, I'm always attracting people that criticize me. Oh my gosh, I'm always attracting people that they just aren't good to me. They're just not kind. They're not generous. They're kind of just hard. Very opinionated. Whatever it might be, they just don't seem to have my best interest at heart. Or they're abusive. They just downright abusive, right? But sometimes it's not about that abusive. A lot of times it's that subtle abuse. It's that subtle just, you think you all that. Why you think you so special? Those little subtle things. It's not hitting you. It's not sexual abuse. It's just these snide, sarcastic, just not having your best interest at heart comments, right? You ever had one of those relationships? Or they're just negative? Let me tell you something. If you ask anybody, I will tell you, I have the best family. I adore my family. God could not have gifted me with better parents. But good gracious, my mother is negative. And I swear, the older she gets, the more negative. Like, when I was young, I don't remember her being this negative. And maybe because I was young, but I don't remember her being this negative. I think the older this woman gets, the more negative she gets. And maybe it's because, it's like that Black woman thing with age, like I can say whatever I want. Sometimes she just says stuff out of her mouth that I'm like, Mama, I love you. But why did you think that was appropriate to say? And I love this woman. You hear me? I love her. She is the best. If I need anything, my mother is there. Same thing with my father. I have the greatest parents. But see, here's the difference. I can separate the two. I can say you're great and you got this issue. So sometimes a person is just negative. They don't mean you any harm. They're not bad people. They're just negative. And if you're surrounded by that, often it starts to rub off on you. You start to look at the world in that way. And then you start to attract more and more of that energy to you. It's a law of attraction. It's what you're used to. So then you now attracted to you. And you're like, gosh, why do I always have negative people coming into my life? Because your mama, you grew up with it. And now you're used to that. It's normal for you. And so you need to release that energy pattern. And so when you release the cord with whoever this person is, Betty, Sue, Jane, Dick, Harry, whatever, right? You release that energetic pattern. So the next person that comes around, you're like, hold on. You're like my mama. You're like Harry. You're like Richard. You're like Jane. Oh, now I'm seeing the pattern. I'm not going to get in a relationship with you. Or I'll be in a relationship with you, but you're not going to be in my inner circle. So cord cuttings are very, very important. Whether it's a relationship that you just want to end and you want to let it go, or whether it's a relationship that you want to maintain, that you want to keep, but you need to change the energy of it because you know that it's not healthy. It's harming you in some way, even if it's a subtle way. That's why I wanted to talk about cord cuttings because, again, it's not something that most of us know about. We don't grow up hearing about these things, right? A lot of us, and until we get older, we don't even believe it. We're like, I don't even think this stuff works. What is this stuff Avalaura is talking about? Until we get older and you like, you know what, Avalaura, I done tried everything. I'm willing to try. And then people feel like they found the Holy Grail because they've been looking for this their whole life. Cord cuttings are a beautiful thing. I'm telling you, I've probably, gosh, I've done cord cuttings for almost every situation. I've done cord cuttings for people doing it for themselves, for their own self-healing, right? Cutting cords with their older self. I've done cord cuttings, like I said, with abusers, with getting a divorce, of course, breakups, every member of the family, like I talked about. And even though I will say that it's different for everybody, the results are different for everybody. I've had some amazing results. I told you about my client who literally got cord cuttings from everybody in his family. And then I've done cord cuttings for, a person, they've just done one cord cutting and that's it. And they've done nothing else. And I would say that the common denominator, and this is why I love cord cuttings. Let me tell you another story. I did a cord cutting for a woman. I thought this was like the coolest thing ever. A guy, and I had never met him. So when I say that you're like scrolling the web and you find me, this really is true. This happens a lot where people go on online and they're looking for something and they're like, hey, Avalaura, I don't know how I found you. I was looking at Reiki or I was looking at crystals and all of a sudden you popped up and I just wanted to work with you. I've had people say this over and over again. And that's always a blessing to me. I'm very intentional about who I am and the energy, right? The energy that I put out in the world and my intention. And I always know that when people say that, God sent them to me. I know that because those things don't just happen. You're not just scrolling the web and you find me and you're like, I don't know this woman from Adam, but I got to work with her. And so this literally happened. A man it was his then girlfriend. It was her birthday. And he called me that day and he wanted something with crystals or do some meditation thing. And I said, look, boo. And this is, and if you talk to me, I talk like this. I'm like, look, sweetie, I don't know you, but what you really need for your woman is a cord cutting. He's like, cord cutting? What's that? And so I tell him, then I told him the price. He was like, whoa, like he didn't want to spend that money. I said, look, it's her birthday. I am telling you, based on everything that you're telling me, that she's had problems in the past with multiple men. They were in this relationship and they had been in a relationship for many years. And he decided that on her birthday, he wanted to propose to her. And he wanted to do something sort of healing for her that would help her and that this would start the new journey in their relationship. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And now y'all know I'm a proponent of meditation. I teach meditation. I have M3, mantra, meditation, motivation for you all. And I love it. I adore it. I welcome everybody. I want everybody to be a member because I think it's like the coolest thing ever. But meditation wasn't appropriate for her. It was a cord cutting. So he trusted me. It was more than he wanted to spend. He had no idea whether his woman was going to like this or not. It was truly, he operated on faith, but he said, okay, you're the expert. I trust you. I want to work with you. He brought her in that day. I think he called me in the morning. I think they had an appointment. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock that day. And she came in and he kept saying that, she's this high power woman. And she was very strong, very independent. He was like, I don't know if she's going to be into all of this. Let me tell you, she got on my table. She cried. Every emotion that you could go through, she went through. She was so ridiculously happy. She was so happy. She was like, this is the best thing in the world that has ever happened for me. I mean, and it touched me. Like, I wanted to cry. I was so happy. I was happy that he reached out to me. I was happy that God sent him to me. I was happy that he took action, even though it was out of his comfort zone, that he trusted me, because I knew this is what she needed. I knew that. And I was so happy when they sent me the pictures that he proposed and she said yes, and I'm still in touch with them. And it was just such a beautiful experience. Like, I felt like a part of the family. I really did. I felt like I'm a part of the family. So now when y'all need counseling and, everything, make sure you come to me. But that's what a cord cutting does. She felt freer, she felt lighter, she felt happier. She just, there was just like a bounce in her step. I can't even, I wish I could have her here to tell you, but I just thought that was so cool. So a lot of times too, when you're in a relationship or you're starting a new relationship or you're wanting to start something new, you need to leave, again, you need that release. You need to leave the old behind so you can bring in the new. So that is why cord cuttings are essential. If you're finding that you're having a lot of problems in your relationships, it doesn't matter what that relationship is, you really want to consider getting a cord cutting from one or more of those relationships, so that you can then start to invite in the energy and the types of healing, nurturing, loving, intimate relationships where you can be vulnerable, where you can be you, where you can be the highest version of you. Because ultimately, that is the purpose of relationships. That is the purpose of relationships. There's a quote that I love by Eckhart Tolle. I'm gonna try to, hold on a second. I'm gonna try to find it for you all because I posted it up on Facebook. And I want to get this for you all because it's one of my favorite quotes. Yes. Okay, here it is. Eckhart Tolle. If I accept the fact that my relationships are here to make me conscious instead of happy, then my relationships become a wonderful self-mastery tool that keeps realigning me with my higher purpose for living. If I accept that my relationships are here to make me conscious instead of happy, then my relationships become a wonderful self-mastery tool that keeps realigning me with my higher purpose for living. That's the purpose of relationships, to be in purpose, to be the highest, truest, most beautiful version of yourself. So I hope you learned something today. I want to hear from you. Email me, avalaura@avalaura.com. If you're on social media, #avalauraheals. Join me on Facebook. Join me on Twitter. Join me on Instagram. Join me on LinkedIn. Connect with me. I want to hear from you. If this helped you, I want to hear from you. If you want to go ahead and you're like, Avalaura, I need that cord cutting in my life, contact me. You can go to avalaura.com. Let's schedule a time. Let's do this. Because it's one of the most beautiful things that you can ever do for yourself and anybody else that you are in relationships in. So thank you all for listening today. This has been another edition of Avalaura Heals Radio. Until next time, wishing you peace, love, and bountiful blessings.
This episode of Avalaura Heal My Life is sponsored by Crown by Avalaura Head Wraps. Queens wear crowns. Order your exclusive, authentic, beautiful head wrap today and learn how to wrap your hair like a queen at crownbyavalaura.com. That's CrownByAvalaura. Crownbyavalaura.com. Get yours today. Hey, beautiful. Thank you for listening to another edition of Avalaura Heal My Life podcast. Join me each and every week to move from whole to wholeness in your life, your relationships, your business, and your career. And if now is the time for you to embrace all that you are for your most incredible life, go ahead and email me today at avalaura@avalaura.com for your own personal consultation. And while you're at it, I'm Googleicious, so you can find more information about me online. Go to my website at avalaura.com and join my mailing list.